meat industry in India is growing rapidly. Meat processing plants have been set in many parts of the country. Thousands of kilos of meat is processed every day and packaged for a market where the demand for such food is ever increasing. Just imagine the amount of waste that a meat processing plant produces every day. And if that waste was not disposed of efficiently, the consequences would be environmentally disastrous. Thus, modern-day meat processing plants have a very advanced and efficient waste or effluent treatment plant running alongside. In the meat processing plant that we are showing you, more than 20,000 birds are slaughtered every day for processed chicken meat. You can well imagine the amount of waste that this plant produces. So, a very efficient waste management system needs to be in place for the smooth functioning of the plant. Let us see how waste emerging out of a meat processing plant is treated. The raw waste is sent from the plant through a trunk drainage pipeline to the rendering plant. Waste produced at the meat processing plant is of two types. There is liquid waste, consisting mainly of wastewater containing blood of the slaughtered birds, and the other is the gross solid wastes like the feathers, skin, claws, and the viscera of the birds. Together, they form what is known as raw waste. If this waste is not treated properly, it will not only cause environment pollution, but also be the cause of spread of diseases from animals to human beings. As the organic load of raw effluent is high, if the untreated liquid wastes are allowed to drain into sewage drains or rivers or used for irrigation, it will adversely affect the quality of groundwater, life of aquatic flora and fauna, and make their environment unlivable by the obnoxious odor it will produce. The main drainage pipeline enters the rendering plant, and the raw waste is firstly screened. The liquid waste is separated from the gross solid wastes. The gross solid wastes like the feathers, skin, claws, and the viscera of the birds consists of proteins, fats, and water in different proportions. This is a good source of nutrients and can be used as animal feed or fertilizers. At the rendering plant that we are seeing, the gross solid waste is converted into carcass meal. The process used is called thermal treatment. This is also called rendering or sterilization. The process of rendering begins with the separated gross waste material being sent to a huge cooker, which is shaped like a boiler. This is also called a renderer. The cooker has a steam jacket over it. The steam does not come into direct contact with the materials inside the renderer, but the heat is transferred from the steam to the material for its cooking or digestion. In this process, high temperature about 130 degrees centigrade and high pressure about 60 to 80 psi is applied for 3 to 4 hours. Soon, the material is thoroughly sterilized and becomes completely dry. This is carcass meal. The material is then ground into powder in a grinding machine. A sieve is used to separate the bigger granules from the smaller ones. Accordingly, the packaging is done. The carcass meal is now ready for use. Now we follow the separated liquid waste which comes to the effluent treatment plant where it is treated. The effluent, as you see, contains fats, other solid particles and is dirty. The biological oxygen demand or the BOD level of this effluent is very high. It is almost 5 to 10 times of domestic sewage. To clean this effluent, firstly the fats have to be removed. This is done in the fat separation tank. By agitating the water, the fat rises to the surface from where it is skimmed off from time to time. The water freed of the fat is then taken to the equalization tank. Inside the equalization tank, the effluent water is constantly agitated by a mechanical aerator that pumps air. This tank equalizes the flow rate of effluent into the subsequent parts of the treatment plant. This also helps the water come in contact with the oxygen, and this reduces the BOD level of the effluent. From here, the water is sent to a circular tank, which is the primary clarifier or the settling tank. In this tank, the heavier solid particle in the water settles down by gravitational force, while the water is slowly let out by channels at the edge of this tank. The water containing organic solids then flows into an accumulation chamber from where it is pumped to two large tanks which are known as the anaerobic filters. Here the bacteria present in the water helps in the fermentation and hydrolysis and thus breaks down the organic complex material present in the water and releases gas, making the water cleaner and healthier. The water then flows into the fluidized aerobic biological reactor or the FAB reactor. The reactor consists of floating media of cylindrical shapes of different sizes. These floating materials significantly increase the surface area of the water for bacterial growth. Air is supplied through a bubble diffusion. Bacteria further oxidizes the organic matter present in the water and reduces the BOD level. Now the water is quite clean and is taken to the secondary clarifier or the secondary settling tank. Like in the primary clarifier, here too, gravity helps in settling down the solid particles and releasing clean water to overflow. The clean flowing water accumulates into a tank. Here, chlorine is added as a disinfectant. And now, the water is ready for use. At every stage of effluent treatment, the settling particles or the sludge is removed. The sludge is collected into a sludge accumulation tank. The water that drains out of the sludge is sent back to the equalization tank. The sludge is left to dry in the sludge drying bed. Dried cakes of the sludge are collected and then used as fertilizer. In this film, we have seen how the waste from a chicken meat processing plant is treated. The same process is followed in meat plants where small and large animals are processed.